impression one has after reading your book is that the first thing you should do is put the book down, call your travel agent, and immediately book a vacation.
Of course. It's a great place to visit. There's wonderful things to do and see. There's great geography, mountains in Transylvania, the Danube Delta, and it's a lot of fun.
Well, and the first thing that people are going to want to see is Transylvania, of course, and that's quite the surprise, isn't it?
Well, it is. The image that a lot of people have of Transylvania is driven by Dracula movies. And it's just a beautiful, interesting place that has an overlay of centuries of history while preserving a lot of the rural character that we don't see much in the United States today.
And we should point out that the skiing is great in Transylvania.
That's where the mountains are.
Well, you also described the old architecture that hasn't been gussied up for the tourists.
Romania was a thriving place between the wars, and because of the architecture, it was known as the Paris of the East. And if the economy had continued to thrive, that might have been urban renewed away. But much of it wasn't.
And unlike some other areas in Europe, because it's right on the border between the Orthodox tradition, the Muslim tradition of the Ottoman Empire, as well as the Roman Catholic tradition of Hungary and the Protestant tradition of Hungary, it's a more diverse architectural and cultural experience than a lot of countries are in Europe.
How's the food?
Not processed, delicious, what they call chorbas, which are their primary soups, are the best soups you're ever going to have any place in the world. They like meat a lot, but it's not processed meat. Breakfast, as around the region, is often cucumbers and tomatoes and cheese, and as a result, you can eat very well without expanding the waistline.
But it sounds like there's a real gusto in the
Exactly.
population.
One of the first times I pumped my own gas in Romania, this young construction worker vaults the fence from the construction site next door, asked me in pretty good English, "Can I help?" I said, "I'm trying to find no-lead gas." He pumps it. I barely had a chance to thank him, and he goes back to working construction.
To the point, as you describe it, that they would rather speak your language because their English is so good, rather than wasting the time while you struggle with Romanian.
Or if their English isn't yet good, they want to practice it. So either way, you end up deciding to have this conversation in English instead of Romanian.
Well, it sounds like it offers just about anything for the person who is traveling. That is to say, the water, the mountains, and an incredible culture.
Yeah, and you can get around pretty quickly. There's a railroad that feels to me sort of like what the railroad would have been in the United States maybe 40 years ago. And it's a bit like France is in the sense that Paris is the center of everything. Bucharest, even though it's not in the center of the country, is very much the hub of transportation.
As a result, there are middle-sized cities all over Romania that have direct plane service from Bucharest. So it's actually just a couple of hours or less, like an hour and a half, to go from Bucharest to Suceava to visit the painted monasteries.
And it is not some little country. This is a pretty good-sized country.
Yeah, it's about 22 million people. It's the fourth largest former communist country in the world.
It's a fine travelogue in case somebody wants to plan a vacation.
That's great. We set it up to be sort of like a tour of Romania. We set it up around the regions, all of which we had visited while we were there, and every region we had some wonderful experience. So we wanted to share that.
Well, it sounds like this is a country where you can have the most delightful kind of vacation. That is to say, you can, to some degree, not plan.
They are a spontaneous people, and that's part of the delight of visiting, absolutely.
In fact, one of my colleagues, who was the Italian ambassador to Romania at one meeting, said that the Romanians reminded her a lot of her own people, that they were stronger on spontaneity than on discipline. And being the Italian ambassador to Romania meant she was caught between two spontaneities. And I think she understood Romania precisely.
The book is called Dracula is Dead. I highly recommend it.